Well, hello my lovelies, it's Murky Meg here. It's Friday the 14th of May and boy has it all begun again. So it seems that Harry has taken part in Dax Shepard's podcast, which he speaks about mental health. Now, he's gone on this podcast to promote his Oprah Apple show, which is going to be released in a couple of weeks. I think it's on the 21st of May. He's made some rather damaging comments, but let's face it, it's nothing new when it comes to Harry. They went on Oprah and completely trashed his family, so really it should come as no surprise. He has said some very damaging things towards Prince Charles and, by proxy, the Queen and Prince Phillip. But why is he doing this? Why is it all of a sudden he's doing the circuit for mental health? Well, it's to promote his new show, of course, isn't it? And you can't go on a mental health podcast without speaking about your own mental health. And we all know Harry only has one thing to talk about, one thing of interest, one thing only anybody really wants to know about, and it's his time within the royal family. But sooner or later, this will get boring, and there's only so much he can say without people rolling their eyes and thinking, ugh, not again. So, in summary, this is what Harry said in the podcast. He compared living under scrutiny as a member of the royal family to the firm much like The Truman Show starring Jim Carrey. He likened it to being an animal in a zoo. Speaking about Prince Charles, Harry said, if I've experienced some form of pain or suffering because of the pain or suffering that perhaps my father or my parents had suffered, I'm going to make sure I break that cycle so I don't pass it on, basically. He describes this cycle as the most wokish idiom ever. He called it genetic pain. Now, I call that a Google whack. Now, before Harry had even mentioned the word genetic pain, I bet you could go onto Google and not one single thing came up about genetic pain. That is a Google whack. He goes on to say that he met up with his future wife, Meghan, in a supermarket in the early days of their relationship, and they pretended not to know each other. I believe that's called role play, Harry, don't you? He also said that he quit as a senior royal with Meghan last year to put his family and mental health first. Well, that's not quite true though, is it, Harry? Because you wanted a half in, half out. But it seems that now nothing is good enough for this half in, half out. You seem to have forgotten all about that you wanted. It doesn't make sense. You either wanted to be part of the royal family or you didn't. Which one is it? Because it seems to me what's happening now is that you don't get what you want and you're throwing an almighty tantrum about it, making sure the world knows that your family on the other side of the pond that you are now is completely negligent towards your own mental health. He said that he put wild partying in his youth down to a childhood trauma and started therapy after Meghan saw he was angry. Well, that's not quite right, is it, Harry? Because William begged you to get therapy in your 20s, and you even spoke to the Telegraph's Bryony Gordon on her podcast early in 2017, I do believe, where he states, and he was trying to promote Heads Together during this podcast. He deals extensively within his talk with Bryony Gordon about his mental health struggles, in which he does say that he has spoken to a couple of psychologists and asked, you guys, what's the rule? Because we're not cut out to take on everybody else's emotion. But I got to the point at the age of 28 when I really started to care. I was really uneasy. I was trying to find a path in life, and by the age of 30 I was like, wow, this is a much better way of life. Dealing with all the grief, being able to have that conversation, sharing other people's grief and knowing what they are going through. It's okay. And now I can actually have those conversations with people and hopefully they can understand that I've got a little bit of experience to be able to share with them. You can then have that banter with them and can then make it light-hearted when necessary, but you could also be that person holding their hand and being a comfort for them when they want to cry. He also later on, he said, I can safely say that once I offloaded my stuff to someone else, I feel so much better. And the thing about keeping it quiet is that it's only going to make it worse, not just for you, but also for everybody else around you as well, because you've become a problem. And through a lot of my 20s, I was a problem. Byrony asks, so do you feel in a good place now? Remember, this is 2017. He says, yeah, I do feel in a good place. It's weird because, yes, I'm a prince. I have a house and the security that I need. I have a car. I have a job that I absolutely love. Previous to that, I have a second job that I absolutely loved as well, that obviously came to an end for numerous reasons. But because of the process I've been through over the past 2.5 years, I've now been able to take my own work seriously and my private life seriously as well, and be able to put blood, sweat and tears into the things that really make the difference and things that I think will make a difference to everybody else. Now, while he doesn't admit that he went to therapy per se, he does hint at the fact that he's done a lot of soul searching with numerous professionals and that he has been sharing his mental health issues with the ones that care. Then we turn it and flip it to now when he's completely trashed everybody and anybody within the royal family. Yet he was happy, he said. He was in a good place, he said. But why is he now saying that he started therapy after Meghan saw that he was angry? He also says that he was born into an extraordinarily privileged, but hinted that he believes that this has changed since he quit with Meghan. He also revealed that Meghan told him after her experience of royal life, you don't need to be a princess. You can create the life that will be better than any princess. What? What? She was desperate to be a princess. The fact that she didn't get princess, she's Princess Harry, but she's not Princess Meghan, doesn't make sense to me. That he's using this PR incentive to push his Oprah series for mental health by completely desecrating the royal family. This continuous victim narrative is getting very, very old. And I do find it rather perplexing that in the Oprah interview, Meghan likened her life to the Little Mermaid, and Harry is now likening his life to the Truman Show. Original thought, please, people. I'm sorry, but I can't feel sorry for Prince Harry. Prince William went exactly through the same thing as he did. But because he is the heir, Harry is so annoyed at all of this. I think this all goes down to pure jealousy. I'd like to read a comment from the Daily Mail, and I think this is a very poignant comment that I think that everybody needs to hold on to. Harry is a very privileged man. That does not excuse the fact that he may not or may suffer from mental health issues. Everybody, be them rich, poor, or superbly wealthy, can suffer from mental health issues. I get that. But it's the way that we, as human beings, deal with that. You don't force your mental health or blame other people for your mental health as an adult. When you're an adult, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and take responsibility for your own actions. Don't tarnish others. Don't blame anybody else. You and you alone are the way you are because of you. If it's somebody else's problem, then deal with it. Don't bash them publicly on a global scale. And there lies the problem, isn't it? Is that the Queen and Prince Charles cannot retaliate or can't respond to these allegations of his genetic pain. I'm sorry, I had to say that word again. Oh, God. Anyway, this is the comment, and I think it strikes me as polar opposites. It says, "Hey, Harry, my dad was killed on a motorbike crash when I was 11. A drunk driver rammed his bike and broke him into pieces. We were devastated and poor. My mum brought 3 of us up on a shoestring, and she juggled 3 jobs to keep our council house roof over our heads while I looked after my younger sisters. I wore second-hand clothes to school as they did. We had nothing. We grew up, got jobs, worked hard, and have all done well on our own merit. We don't whine about our dad or our lot in life all day, every day, nor do we try to squeeze a living out of the dead father's memory. Because we have dignity and skills. You're a spoilt, entitled, useless little twit. You should be ashamed of yourself, flogging your poor little rich boy woes to the highest bidder and cashing in on your dead mum's popularity. You are not a man. You are self-pitying disgrace. God help your child growing up with you two. And I think that is perfect. I really, really do. This is a very privileged man on a global scale, whinging. Yet again, whinging that nothing ever is his fault. Not only is he bashing his father, but he's bashing his father when he's just lost his own father. That's a pretty low blow, isn't it? In fact, he actually went on to say on this podcast, my grandparents caused my father pain. My father caused me pain. And now I'm going to break the cycle. Okay, so how are you breaking this cycle, Harry? By causing more pain to everybody else? That's valiant of you, man, really. I mean, cause more pain. Well done. Bravo. Can you imagine? Let's just think about this for one moment. Giving your son everything in life, the privilege, the titles he wanted for nothing. They cleaned up the messes that he caused, the scandals, even some of these scandals we know nothing about. Yet he still gets dumped on from a great height by the entitled little twerp that is Prince Harry. I'm sorry if I'm being mean. I'm not justifying the fact that he doesn't have mental health issues. Of course, everybody has mental health issues. What he went through as a child is a tragedy. But now he's still using that victimhood to make him money. That's ultimately what this comes down to. He is plugging his Oprah Winfrey series and he is redredging his past trauma and blaming others for his own actions to gain money. Why, if he hates the institution and his family so much for causing him so much pain, why is he still so willingly using those titles on everything he does? And to make matters worse, he's even taken a swipe at Joe Rogan. Now, Joe Rogan, if you don't know him, he is Spotify's #1 podcast. He is the king of Spotify podcasts. Harry has told him to stay out of it when Josh Rogan commented on the COVID vaccine. Harry told him to stay out of it. Can you believe this man? Is he the expert of all things COVID vaccinations now because he went on the Vax Live event? Oh, Harry. So he's now starting beef with Rogan on Dax Shepard's podcast. I mean, they do say the best way to get publicity is start an argument with somebody. It's always the way. Make an argument, pick an argument, and you get more column inches. In fact, in today's papers, he's getting a trouncing. As always, they're just picking him apart. And at some point, you've got to think, is this man ever going to stop talking about the royal family? At what point do you get saturated and he has told so much of the information, he's going to start repeating himself time and time again. But mark my words, there's going to be more coming out. And I just want to know who's next. He's taken a pop at the Queen. He's taken a pop at Prince Charles. Is William next? I'd just like to point out one final thing. Prince Phillip lost his mother. She suffered so terribly with mental health for years. She really, really did. He lost his home when he was a child. He was moved past from pillar to post from relatives. His sister died in an air crash when he was in his teens. He was sent to various schools he didn't like. He really suffered. Yet did you hear him whinge once? No, because you just don't do that. You don't publicly diss your family in such an abhorrent manner. What they're doing now is they're using this mental health thing as a money-making endeavour. They have tapped into this element that people will have them on podcasts, on interviews. They want them to speak on this particular element of royal life because they know that they want to hear it. It's titillation. It's juicy gossip, isn't it? No, this is a serious issue that you're throwing about. I also think it's important to remember that Harry and Meghan, I think, are well aware that this sort of thing is going to get into headlines. And headlines mean money. And they know that if they speak about the royal family in a derogatory way, they'll get the headlines. They've tapped into it. They know exactly what they're doing. And I'm just going to raise one final point. And I know I said that last time, but this is the most important one. If he was able to get therapy when Meghan found out that he was angry, so he started seeing Meghan. She said, "You're angry, so therefore you need to go to therapy." He gladly went to therapy. Why couldn't she get therapy when she said she needed it? He The prince, the royal blood, was able to get therapy. So why couldn't Meghan? Yet another lie that just cements them into the victim narrative. They are professional victims. Plain and simple. But what makes this all the worse is that the royal family cannot retaliate. They just can't. They don't speak about this sort of thing. It's never explain, never complain. And Harry knows this. So no matter what he says, they have no recall to issue statements back and say, actually, no, that's not what happened. I'd really like them to start talking now. I really, really would. Just to put him in his place. So I would love to know all your thoughts about this, because my head is spinning with all of this. This is just bonkers. It really, really is, that he could go and say all of this, yet the lies are being unpicked. He had therapy. He did it all. He worked through his issues, but then he met Meghan, and then all of a sudden he's angry and it's all their fault and, oh my God, we need to get out. But hang on a minute, I still want to be half in, half out. Is that all right? You know, the institution that ruined my life so greatly, I'm all right to stay, am I? Half in, half out. I can earn some money, yet I can still open a few more hospitals. Good, let's sort that out. No, you're either in or you're out. You either hate them or you don't. Which is it? Make up your own mind. And I need to focus also on the privacy element. He's so adamant that he wants to respect his privacy. Everybody should respect his privacy. In fact, Meghan won against the Mail on Sunday. Yet he is not respecting the privacy of Prince Charles, the Queen, or Prince Philip. Do you think it's fair that Harry has done this? Do you think that he's purely doing this for PR? I think it's one long gaslighting by proxy, to be perfectly honest. But I would love to know your thoughts on all of this. But most importantly, why couldn't Meghan get help if Harry got help? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Lies, 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 lies. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.